Hello and welcome to Studio 415. On today's show, you'll see how one remote student sends a robot to school in its place. You'll hear from students about their thoughts about COVID changes and the 6 feet rule. And you'll see the next group of students take on the Charger Challenge in a 3-point competition. All of that and more coming up next.
Like, hey, you're gonna have a robot in your classroom, and so obviously your first reaction is, oh, what does that mean?
See if he can feel himself, more rim. Definitely looking like the last time you played was in middle school.
That's why you're gonna, you could walk into 5 different rooms and see 5 different setups.
Welcome to Studio 415. I'm Jacob Inman. Most students return to school either in person or remotely. However, for one student, the new school year doesn't look very different. Studio 415 reporter Gabby Beeman is joining us now in the studio with this story.
CHS students got to experience remote learning for the first time last semester. This is new to most students, yet one freshman has been using a unique form of this method since middle school. Since January of his 7th grade year, Logan Ferguson has tuned into his classes virtually. He achieves this not through Google Meets, but with the help of his remote robot, the Vigo. Ferguson has an immune and genetic deficiency which does not allow him to produce enough of a certain protein, weakening his immune system. Due to this, he uses the Vigo as a long-term solution to reduce physical interaction with others. Since Google Meets was not a practical option for class attendance 2 years ago, the Vigo offers Ferguson features that remote learning cannot.
On remote learning, all you have to do is hit a button and you don't have to talk. You're not asked questions really because there's, 20 people in the class. You're not like in that kind of one-on-one conversation. And you really can't have a conversation, really. It's not really the same. But at least through the Vigo, I'm able to have a conversation. Friends that are going to school, I can still keep in contact with. You can't really have a side conversation in a Google Meet because, everyone's listening to it.
Despite these positive aspects of using the robot, there are challenges Ferguson had to face during the introduction of the Vigo in middle school.
It was particularly difficult in 7th and 8th grade as teachers were not quite used to it. So, it's like, hey, I'm here, don't count me absent for the 30th day in a row, People weren't used to it, and that made it difficult. People would mess with the Vigo. It has a little camera that pivots up and down, and if you grab that too hard, it breaks, which makes it so I can't attend class.
To accommodate for being in class virtually, Ferguson can control the Vigo himself to assist in his learning experience. In order to get the attention of a teacher, Ferguson is able to blink the lights on the Vigo, which is his unique way of raising his hand. If the writing on the board is too far away to read, Ferguson can easily zoom into the live video to clearly view any notes. In addition, the Vigo can turn and rotate to give Ferguson a better view of who he is speaking to and to aid his movement in the hallways between classes. If Ferguson's world history class goes outside, the Vigo stays inside, but his teacher, David Brooks, communicates with him on what they are working on. Despite these beneficial features, learning from home requires self-motivation for completing assignments and to stay involved during class discussions, something all students experienced second semester of last year. Regardless of these challenges, Brooks affirms that Ferguson's hard work and ambition is what drives the success of his unique learning method.
Sure, you'd always rather have folks in person, but health is priority, and if this helps them to check both the health box first and foremost and also the educational engagement, then sure seems sustainable to me. And again, that's in large part just because of how effective Logan is with taking initiative and ownership of his education.
With this technology, NACS is opening a new future of education for students with situations similar to Ferguson's. For Studio 415, I'm Gabby Beeman.
With the changes that COVID-19 has made to our school environment, students wonder what teachers are doing in order to keep them socially distant in the classroom. Studio 415 reporter Landon Wallace finds out why some classes follow the 6 feet rule and some don't.
Social distancing has changed the way classrooms function, and students are wondering why classrooms don't follow the 6 feet social distancing rule. One of the main ways to prevent COVID-19 is to stay at least 6 feet apart from someone, though in classrooms, students are a bit closer together than this. The main reason for this is that each teacher has their own rules for how their classroom is set up. and they have a choice of how close together and spread out they are.
Well, we really have kind of allowed some flexibility among each room because we understand that each room is sized and shaped just a little differently, and so that's why you're gonna, you could walk into 5 different rooms and see 5 different setups.
Due to the large amount of students who have returned to school, which is about 85%, it can be hard to keep people separated.
I've got a couple classes that are like approaching 30 students, so I've got to have more desks. If I had fewer students in some classes, I would have fewer desks. So I've got all my desks in here. I'm fortunate to have a pretty large classroom, so I've kind of tried to just put desks as far apart as I can.
Some classrooms have tables instead of desks, which can make it even more difficult to keep the students 6 feet apart.
So I have tables in here instead of just individual desks, but I guess I would probably do it similarly anyway. So I have 2 seats at each table and then 2 tables like sort of grouped together.
With the changes to the desk arrangements, teachers also had to change the way they teach. Group work such as science labs and class projects can make it difficult when trying to space out students. Teachers have turned to more individual work and student collaboration with those around them. This creates less movement around the room, which means less COVID cases. Some teachers give 1 to 2 minute breaks in class for students to stretch and get them moving.
If we're talking, stand in different places or even grab a chair and whatever. And I haven't been doing that. I've either been staying over here or at my little podium and just, much more brief interactions with the students. And that's tough because that's why we're here, is to make those connections and help kids one-on-one like that.
Carroll staff will continue to work on keeping students 6 feet apart in classrooms, following the rules and guidelines given by the Department of Health. For Studio 415, I'm Landon Wallace.
It's familiar yet different. The start to this school year has been unlike any other. Studio 415 reporter Brandon Mullet joins us now in the studio with students' reactions to the start of the 2020 school year.
Due to the coronavirus pandemic, many changes had to be implemented into our school environment in order to keep everyone safe. In my story, you will see how Carroll students feel on how these new procedures have changed their school life.
Although Carroll High School is reopened for students to attend in person, new procedures had to be put in place in order to keep it that way. Students are now required to wear masks throughout the day, with the exception of lunch, where they're allowed to take them off at the lunch tables only. Carroll staff ask that the mask are 2-layer and washed every day. This is done to reduce students' exposure to aerosols, which is the primary way COVID-19 is spread. Another implemented change is altering of the regular 7-period days to an everyday block schedule. This was designed to fit into a remote learning plan in case school was to be closed again. Some students at Carroll feel that the new schedule is helpful and makes it easier for them to get work done.
Yeah, I do like the block schedule, and it is nice being able to stay in class for longer and just get more work time to get everything done, less homework. You don't have to worry about getting everything done that night. You can just put it off until the next day maybe, and you have a lot more time in study hall, which is good to get almost everything done for me.
One of the biggest changes these procedures brought to school was the change to the lunch periods. Since the class periods are longer, Carroll added a 4th lunch to the schedule, as well as changed the menu completely. This allows for students to practice social distancing in the lunch line by having an even amount of people in all lines. Some sophomore students were disappointed that the new menu only offers 2 entree options per day.
Well, as a freshman, I was looking forward to going to lunch as a 10-12 building, but we don't get as good as lunches and we don't get to connect as much, so that was kind of disappointing.
Overall, students feel that these changes are beneficial for the student body.
We're doing a pretty good job, especially with making us wear masks, which will stop the spread, but other than that, not really. I think having our block schedule obviously helps, but other than that, I think we're doing a pretty good job.
Although these changes might be overwhelming at times, they are necessary in order to keep the school open. Carroll staff are encouraging students to mask up and help keep everyone safe. For Studio 415, I'm Brendan Mullet.
This week's Charger Challenge takes you to the basketball court, where 2 athletes compete in a classic 3-point challenge. Here's host Jaden Boyce with the action.
Hello, and welcome to the Charger Challenge, Week 3. Today, we have an around-the-world shooting contest, all to win the Studio 415 Cup.
My name is Jalen Jackson. I went to Lincoln Elementary, and I'm going to win because look at the back of my shirt.
Cameron Hedgecock, Hickory Center Elementary, and I'm going to win because, I play basketball in middle school, so I'm just
All right, you ready, Jalen? All right, let's get it. Jalen pulling up from the corner. Ooh, gets a little bit of room there. Second shot's over. Third one is straight money splash. Moving up. Gets a little bit of room. Ooh, another easy shot. Starting to feel himself, 2 in a row there. Pulls up to the middle. Beautiful arc, easy in. And he's on a hot streak. Ooh, loses it there. See if he can come back. Another one. Another one. Call him DJ Khaled. There you go. That's it. That is time. All right, Cam, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get it. All right, pulling up from the corner. Ooh, gets a piece of it. One more. Stuffs the rim. See if he can get himself into a rhythm. Oh, no. At least he's consistent. Pulling up from the middle. Ooh, nice. Straight down. Ooh, bounces, but goes in. Middle of the arc. Bounces off. Let's go. Ooh, he's getting that rim. Can he get it in? Nah, nothing but rim. All right, last corner. See if he can feel himself. More rim. Definitely looking like the last time you played was in middle school. That's tough. After this week's Charger Challenge, Jalen Jackson is our winner. How do you feel?
I mean, minus that air ball, I feel like a sharpshooter. minus that.
Cam, how you feeling after this loss?
I mean, hurt a little bit, but I mean, at least I ain't airball, man.
Charger Challenge.
Starting from scratch and teaching himself are a few of the accomplishments in David Burdan's musical journey. I sat down with this Carroll High School junior to hear his story and to share his message that you can do anything you put your mind to. While it started as a hobby, junior student David Burdan has found his passion in the world of music production. In 2015, Burdan decided that he would teach himself how to create music digitally.
I used to want to do EDM, and I was listening to Martin Garrix, and then I saw a video of him like breaking down one of his tracks, and I was like, that looks easy. So I heard about this program, FL Studio, and I was like, okay, let's try it. So I tried it, and then I realized I have no idea what to do.
This did not dissuade Burdan, however, as he would then follow tutorial after tutorial, sharpening his skills with the audio program FL Studio. Now whenever he has free time, Burdan is working in his home studio. Inspired by all kinds of artists, Burdan doesn't want to focus on just one genre of music.
I went from liking the electronic guys to liking the hip-hop guys to liking the alternative guys, and I've been getting into a lot more rock and stuff. I just like creating music that I would listen to. I have never taken a music course. I haven't learned music theory, not a music class. I just started messing around with stuff.
Burdan occasionally posts his work on SoundCloud under the name Waveth. There you can find beats and songs of various different styles. Burdan wants his story to motivate other people who may be intimidated by the idea of teaching themselves a new skill or talent.
My advice for other people that are looking to get into music is just to go into it. Because when you first go into it, you're not going to have a clue what you're doing. And there's going to be so many times where you're like, dude, this sucks. I don't want to do this. This is too hard. And then you give up. And then my advice would just be just keep going. Just keep going. If you really want to, then just put your mind to it.
Whether it's something artistic or not, if you're interested in something, don't be afraid to take the leap and learn to do it for yourself. For Studio 415, I'm Jacob Inman. That's all we have today. Thanks for watching. If there's a story you'd like us to cover, please let us know. For all of us here at Studio 415, have a great week, Carroll.